Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Presidential inaugurations are an important symbol of a transfer of power and can set the tone for a new presidency.
In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle.
But Joe Biden's inauguration in 2021 will face a number of new challenges.
Every day is a new record for the number of people hospitalized with COVID-19.
We were just learning that those protesters you saw on the Capitol steps just moments ago have now breached the Capitol, are now inside the Capitol.
The president's final tweet announcing he would not be attending the inauguration.
So how will these factors affect this historic event? And how could it help unite a divided country?
And my objective is to keep America safe, but still allow people to celebrate and see one another celebrating.
After an election season riddled with fears of the COVID-19 virus, misinformation, and turmoil among opposing sides, Joe Biden will be inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States on January 20th.
We're dealing with a number of crises in this country. The president-elect wants to use this moment to bring the country together.
These ceremonies are important because they send a signal not only throughout the country that the change is peaceful and a result of an election, but they send that message around the world.
It is the culmination in many ways of the transition. It is the first statement of a new president, someone who's going to be president for 4 years.
Traditional inaugural events include galas, a luncheon, a parade, and the swearing-in ceremony, usually drawing crowds between 300,000 and 1 million people.
The concept of a big celebration, of having fireworks, for example, started with George Washington. So the very first president had major celebrations.
The oath of office is really the centerpiece. And that oath of office, I think, has become a major symbol in the world for the peaceful passage of power.
We want to rally the people around a new president or a president who's carrying on into another term. And then we want to show the world that we're stable. And then the other is that we want to show other democracies that this is how a democratic republic should run.
The inauguration is a bipartisan event and can be a chance for disparate parties to come together. And that may be more important this year than ever.
We're going to the Capitol. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
On January 6th, 2021, rioters, most coming from a pro-Trump rally, stormed the Capitol in an unprecedented breach to stop the certification of the electoral vote.
As we were walking, we heard people chanting, "We took the Capitol, we took the Capitol."
This prompted some concern about security at the inauguration, but demonstrations at the inauguration have happened before.
Every inaugural ceremony has a very extensive and thorough security plan.
The closest I think we could come would be 2000, which was a very controversial election. There were some people in Washington, January 20th of 2001, pro-Gore, pro-Democratic Party, but not to the point of being fearful.
We wanted our message to be extremely positive. President and Mrs. Bush wanted to send the message that we're all Americans now. We're starting a new administration, and we invite everyone to be a part of it.
We are bound by ideals that move us beyond our backgrounds.
Having the entire government on the steps of the Capitol is a huge symbol of our unity as a nation.
Especially because it is happening on the Capitol steps where this, crime against democracy just took place. The symbolism can't help but be part of the messaging.
The symbolism and traditions we are used to seeing at the inauguration will look very different this year. Many inaugural traditions will be reimagined in 2021 due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
We have asked Americans not to come to the Washington, D.C. event, but instead to participate virtually.
We are trying to do the best that we can, holding on to those traditional inaugural events while also making sure that safety is paramount.
This won't be the first time the inauguration has been modified. Health problems, wars, and even bad weather have forced past inaugurations to be scaled down.
In 1985, massive cold situation in Washington and on the East Coast. So it was decided that they would not hold the ceremony outdoors. So President Reagan was sworn in for the second time inside the Capitol building. There are these issues that happen that they can cause a situation where you don't have the massive kind of celebration and outpouring of people. This is going to be definitely one for history in terms of it having to be very subdued and to be very careful because of the pandemic.
The inauguration will draw from the virtual Democratic National Convention that was held in 2020.
The biggest disadvantage, honestly, is keeping people's attention. It's a lot harder to do through a screen, right? It's a lot harder to do without that crowd energy that you can play off of. The advantages are that you can throw out the playbook. The traditions are sort of, you can mold them to the moment.
We are proud of our resilience.
But the pandemic won't be the only thing changing some traditions.
He indicated he wasn't going to show up at the inauguration. One of the few things he and I have ever agreed on. It's a good thing I'm not showing up.
While Vice President Pence has announced that he does plan on attending the inauguration, this will be the first time in over 100 years that an outgoing president will not be attending.
Usually, presidents who are outgoing go to and attend the inauguration of the incoming president. They get in a limousine and they drive on Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol, and then they sit just behind the podium and they witness the new president coming in.
Vice President-elect, how are you?
People around the world admire the way in which one president, especially one who's been defeated, can turn over the reins of power to the other without a shot being fired.
We've only had 3 presidents not go to the inauguration of their successor. The 2 Adamses, John Quincy Adams, both had been defeated in really, really controversial elections. And then Andrew Johnson, he was impeached and almost convicted and removed from office. So he had a big chip on his shoulder. We're not going to have any of the symbols or the substance of the passing of the torch or the passing of the baton from one administration to another.
But even with all of these challenges, the inauguration can be a unique opportunity to offer a sense of peace in a time of crisis.
Presidents try in those inaugural addresses in that tradition to try to unify the country, also to calm the country if it is in a crisis, as we are now in several crises. Good writing, soaring rhetoric, really inspiring the people. That's what a president needs to do.
I think it's even more important in a lot of ways for the inauguration that every American, whether they voted for President Biden or not, feel like this is an inauguration for them. Nobody is going to be going to galas. Nobody is going to be at the parade. Nobody's going to be on the mall. Everyone is experiencing it in the same way. And there's a sort of egalitarian, small d democratic beauty to that.
We really want to bring the American people together, almost like a reset, and really remind people what the American spirit is all about.